Welcome to the Social for Brokers podcast. Today, I have with me Gaurav, who is the CEO of Home Me Mortgages. Now, Gaurav took full control of the business in November 2022, which was under a year ago, and the changes he's put in place so successful. It's incredible. I spoke to Gaurav about a year ago and he was chatting about how he's going to do and what he's going to do, start launching the business. And not even 12 months on, he's making a huge success of it. It's actually a business that's been noticed very locally, so much so that they're now the official community partners of Wycombe Wanderers, the football club, and official mortgage partners of Maidenhead Football Club. So we're going to find out exactly how he gets his business noticed locally through these sponsors and the benefits that these sponsors bring along, but also the nitty gritty of how he generates business in his local area and nationally as well. So Gaurav, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Thanks very much. Now, you'll probably see if you're watching on YouTube, Gaurav has a very stylish headset on. He said to me before we started recording this, he was like, AirPods just aren't going to cut it. I want the proper microphone. So he said he took it from his partner who's not working today. So she's headsetless and you won't go back from this now. You'll be keeping that in the office.
No, it's a game changer. I'll have to borrow a new set now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, another 50 quid dropping on something
exactly.
Technological. But thank you very much for coming on. I know you're busy and we're recording this the day after bank holiday as well. So I can imagine there's quite a few people you need to email back. But before we get into it and get into the top tips of how to generate more business locally, tell us a bit about you, Gaurav, who you are, what you've been doing and how you got to this point today.
So Chris, as you know, I'm Gaurav. I've been a mortgage broker since 2015, I think it was. Went on the back of Santander where I worked for a couple of years, then moved to London Country Mortgages. So that was my first mortgage job, and that was straight into the deep end, as many people probably know of them. But that taught me a hell of a lot. Still to this day, a lot of my experiences come from there. On the back of that, moved to work at an estate agency broker. Wasn't a fan, so I left it after 8 months. And then I joined. Back then, there was a company called Dynamo Mortgages, not the Dynamo of today, but another one, and it was a startup company through Countrywide as well. That was a startup, so that was quite fun and different. That didn't work out, and then I moved to another startup company. So I thought, let's give it another try, and I went to work for a company called OneDome. They're a prop tech company, but helped them set up the financial services arm. So I did that for about 9 months or so, and they're still going today. And then I moved to a wealth management firm, did that for a couple of years, and got my financial advising course done as well, and qualified. But I don't touch that space at the moment. Not my cup of tea yet. And then that's when I got in touch with you, roughly around that sort of time a year ago or so, when I was moving from the wealth management firm and potentially setting up on my own.
Yep.
But then Home Me Mortgages came about, and there was another startup, and I thought, let me just give the third one a go. And then,
third time lucky.
Third time lucky, right? And then so joined them as a sales manager in December 21, and it was then owned by the mortgage lender called Propertunity. And I got on really, so it was their mortgage brokerage basically on the back of the lender. Things kind of changed a bit, shifted. Their focus went on to the lending side, and they asked me if I wanted to take over the brokerage, as I helped set up most of the stuff anyway. So then I took over in November 2022, and here we are. Here I am.
And is it a separate business now from Propertunity? It's completely standalone.
Yeah. It was set up as a separate business to start off with, anyway. And yeah, so I took over in November 2022, the same week my son was born. So that was a bit off. What do we do? What's happening now?
If you're gonna risk something, let's just do it whole hog. Let's just completely ruin everything. That's terrible. I mean, ruin your sleep, ruin any relaxation that you're able to do because you had a little one to look after, hardly any sleep. Then you're thinking about the business.
Exactly. It was like, what else can we add into it? What else can we do? What else? Just chuck it in. It's fine. Don't worry, we'll deal with it. So yeah, that was a bit off.
Awesome.
I'm at the hospital and I get an email saying, right, ownership's changed, and I'm like, all right, cool. So now I've got to look after the kid. Accountants, can you just keep everything the same? I don't know what to do yet to help Mrs. with the kid. And I was just like, there's two different things going on, massive things.
So talk to me then. How are you feeling? You stood in the ward. Your missus has gone into your partner's gone into labour, and you're stood there and you get an email say you've now got ownership of that business. Talk me through how you're feeling in that moment.
Yeah, so it was like I knew a week or so before it was going to happen because I got the phone call from the then owner and was like, right, we're going to give you, if you want to take it, take home me. And I was like, okay, cool, right, let's do it. My idea was that I'll take it over summer of 2023, have part ownership of it, not full
Oh,
ownership.
okay.
That was my kind of plan that I proposed to them anyway. But I knew it was going to happen in November after they spoke to me a week before, but I just didn't know when. And
Mhm.
then happened to be when Mrs. was in the hospital, we're waiting. And then it was like, right, everything's confirmed. And I'm telling my missus, she was like, I don't care. I don't care. And I'm
Well,
like,
of course, yeah.
I
That's
was like,
I'm not being
I'll tell
funny.
you
That's
after
not
this.
important
Yeah.
compared, but to you,
Yeah.
you're like,
To
this
me,
is
I
my
was like,
baby as
yes.
well.
I was like, go on, I've got it, I've got it. And then obviously when my son came, then that overtook everything else, and the business just got pushed to the side for now. But as I said to you earlier, when I took over, there was me, one other advisor, and one case manager. So fortunately, the advisor and the case manager were still doing what they were doing. They were still able to speak to customers. I was able to block it out. Um,
Mhm.
and I always envisioned when I set up my own business, it would just be me to start off with.
Mhm.
But fortunately, at that point, I had a team to look after it. And then there were like other struggles that came after from January, February onwards, when everything kind of settled at home. And then we had to try and figure out, right, what we're doing with this business now that I've got
Mhm.
it.
So that was when you've inherited two staff straight off the bat, which is quite unusual for somebody
Yeah.
launching a new business. So you obviously went into survival mode. You've got to start providing leads. You've got to start thinking outside the box when it comes to your marketing. Now, tell me, was going to a football club your first port of call? What else did you do in the lead up to that?
So we had some sort of pipeline coming into when I took over the business, which is good,
Okay.
but we knew that was going to stop because at the time, or at that time, Opportunity stopped lending. And when we were working there before, the only leads that we had were on the back of Opportunity, nothing else. So then when I came
Right.
in, we had to start again from basically scratch to be like, right, where do we get leads from? I can get my own referrals of my own social media or my own friends and family, but that's not going to provide the other advisor their leads.
Good point. Yeah.
Um, so it was like if it was a one man band, perfect, or be chilling, be nice and easy.
Yep.
But I spoke to Maidenhead United when I spoke to you before I went and joined Home Mortgages because I knew I wanted to get self employed. Let's get things ready for when I take or when I go self employed. I know what to do. And I
Mhm.
like planning in advance rather than just being reactive to certain things. Um,
Yep.
so the club was one of the first things I did just because I live in Maidenhead and we can't focus on our business in London. It's just impossible with us being a small team. You can't
Mhm.
compete with the big players that are based there because they just drive
Mhm.
all the traffic online and all sorts. So I was like, let's just focus in Maidenhead. There's a few other businesses here, but I'm sure in a few years' time I can take over properly. That's my goal. So
Yep.
I was like, right, let's get in with the football club. It's a small community. Football club's a massive thing in the area. Let's
Is
try
it?
and yeah, so let's try and get them sponsored with them. It's a small, maybe there's like a small town, but it's got a village feel to it. Everyone knows everyone, and there's a lot of
Oh,
stuff that the
okay.
club do. There's the men's team, the women's team. They've got a community trust, and they've got the juniors. They tackle all parts of the village and the town. So I was like, that's the first place or business I can think of that's going to make me feel or seem like this business is reputable in the area.
Mhm.
So that's the angle I went in with it. So they were the first sponsorship that we did. That was back in December, when a
So
month
that
after I took
was
it. I was like,
a month after you
okay.
launch. So you go to the football club, you say, right, we want to sponsor you. What's involved in sponsoring like a because Maidenhead, for anybody that isn't a football fan, they're in the national, what they call the National League. So they're a professional football club, aren't they? And they
Mhm.
say that they've got the men's team, the ladies' team, and it's a huge community supported place. So great because you've got people locally, and maybe even if it's only half of those people need mortgage advice. What kind of, I mean, you don't have to speak about costs, but what's involved from your behalf to become a sponsor of a football club?
Yeah, so fortunately, because I reached out a year before, they already knew who I was when I spoke to the commercial
Okay.
director. So the conversation just kind of carried on from where we left off. But they got to check the business because they're a village kind of small team. They need to partner up with the right people. So they need to know that
Good point.
they're pushing out the right companies and not affect their reputation at the end of the day because
Hmm.
they're not a big club. Everything counts and everything matters to them. So there's a lot of back and forth in terms of like providing information and all sorts to start off with. But then it's right, they have like different sponsorship levels. And because obviously they need to make money as well, we need to try and find the right package that's going to benefit us.
Hmm.
But one of the key things that they said was there's a lot of sponsorships that they have that just do nothing, and they're not going to get it. They're the ones that will just sit there, pay money, and be like, right, we sponsor the club.
Yeah.
But I'm quite different. I like to be, as I said, proactive with certain things, which helps because when we did sponsor them, it was our way into a lot more stuff that you see. It's just the sponsorship is just here, but there's so many things behind it that you have access to that you just need to touch. So, right, for example, when we sponsored Maiden, I messaged most of the football players directly and said, "We now sponsor you guys. If you need anything mortgages, let me know." And now,
Did you?
yeah, message
Can
all
I
of them on
just,
Instagram.
sorry, I'm just going to pause there. I'm just going to,
Yeah,
because this is exactly why I wanted Gaurav on the podcast, because without hearing this story, I've only spoken to you maybe 2 or 3 times. I kind of get his character. You do not just sit on stuff. And it could be very easy for somebody to say, yep, we sponsor the club and that's it. We get a board on the side of the pitch and we maybe get a fancy logo in there, the newsletter every month. But what Gaurav did is messaged all of the players and said we're here to help. Very similar to an episode with Lee Flanagan. He would go to football matches every Saturday. Instead of just standing on the sideline and saying, I can help with your protection, he'd go into the dressing room. He'd go to the people and tell them that he offers protection. It's exactly what you're doing there. You're the sponsor. The sponsor, yes, it gives you the logo, but it gets you access to so many more people. And sorry, carry on. You message the players directly. Sorry, I got really excited about
yeah,
that.
that's fine. So yeah, so I messaged all of the players directly on Instagram. Just said, "Hey, we're now sponsoring Maiden United. If you need anything with mortgages or protection, let us know." And it wasn't just to sell our services, just to make them aware of what we are,
Hmm.
especially as the first point of action or first point of call with those players as well. Um, which they all most of them messaged back anyway and said thank you. We'll let you know. Some of them had a few bit more conversations. We've helped a few of them out with their mortgages now as well. And but what's helped is because I've approached all of them, they now if I ask them to share something on their social media, they'll do it, no questions asked. And it's great because it's just we'll do. We had one of the reviews for one of the players recently, and he just shared it on his social media. Great. He knows other football players that will hopefully look at it, and eventually when they need it, they'll reach out to him, and then he'll refer them back to me. So there's a lot more stuff to it.
And obviously these football players are people that do have complex incomes. I mean, I'm not a mortgage broker, but from the outside looking in, complex incomes that aren't predictable over a 30-year period. So it takes a specialist mortgage advisor to do that. Now, what you did out of those, say if you sent 30 messages, maybe 30
Yeah,
players on the books, how many mortgages do you think you've done as a direct result of sending those messages?
at least about five.
5.
Five, yeah.
That
And there's conversations happening right now as well, which is great.
see, and it's
Yeah,
I love the way as well that you've built that relationship up first, and then if you ask them to share something, they're much more likely. So you're not just sponsoring the club; you're building those relationships with,
yeah,
because those people live locally and they will speak to 10 other people that live locally as well, and
yeah.
that's how you're growing the business. So Maidenhead Football Club. Sorry, Gaurav, you were going to say.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say as well, like when they share all the stuff or wherever they live, what I kind of saw before was that if the sponsorship is just a way into all of this stuff that you have available, and it's just part of the package, but you don't see it because it's not written down. It just means you need to do a bit more hard work and grafting around it.
Mhm.
But when that player then leaves to another club, that's another 25 people you have access to because you've already got a relationship with one of the people and it's just a
Yeah,
domino effect. So there's a lot more stuff that you can reach out to because you just continue that relationship. They start telling all their new teammates, right, you need a mortgage, go back to Gaurav, he'll help you out. So there's that domino effect that goes across, which will take time, but as long as you're persistent and you just keep up that relationship and you like their post, you reply back to them. I had a conversation with a guy, footballer the other day from that used to play with Mayday, now moved to Farnborough. And he put
Mhm.
something about Messi, and I was like, Messi's the GOAT. But we just had a relationship about football, talk about football. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be always about mortgage stuff, but it's on our mortgage business page. That's where the relationships
So
happen.
they're
Yeah.
interacting with you. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, Maidenhead is your local football club, National League. Okay. That's where you get a lot of your business. Talk to me now how you then landed is it a League One club?
League One. Yeah.
So you're now the official the official community partners of
Yeah.
Wycombe Wanderers, who are featured on ITV every week with their kind of like EFL highlights. Sorry, that
Yeah.
was going to say. How does something like that with a big club with Wycombe Wanderers come about?
So it was on the back of I think one of the announcements that Maidenhead United made in the newsletters and stuff. And High Wycombe's not far from here, so where they're based, about 15 minutes away. One of their commercial people were after local businesses. They reached out to us, reached out to myself and said, right, you guys sponsor Maidenhead. We'd be interested in bringing you guys on board. We don't partner with any mortgage companies yet. We've got other finance firms or accountants, solicitors stuff. So I spoke to them about it and what benefit it would be for us. And it's completely different to Maidenhead United. It's more because they're higher up in the leagues. There's a lot more stuff you can say and can't say when you're talking about them, and certain stuff you can post. It's got to follow certain guidelines. And there's a lot more copyrights involved with it.
Of course, yeah.
But that the way I kind of saw it was Maidenhead's more about us connecting with customers. Whereas Wycombe Wanderers is going to be our brand awareness on a larger scale. So let's make them both work together at the same time. So it's like we're helping you guys out, but we can deal with bigger clubs if we need to, if we want to, we can reach that level. So we're not just a small player, we know what we're doing. So it kind of gives that image that we know our stuff basically.
Yeah, we sponsor both Maidenhead and Wycombe Wanderers, and we're also Man City's shirt sponsor for next season. Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't be Man City. It'd be Liverpool. I have spoken to.
Oh, is it? Oh, what a shame.
I would like to. I know. I was like, I'd like to do Liverpool one day. At some point, it's in my lifetime. I want to see Homey Mortgages at Anfield doing something, even if it's for 30 seconds. I just want to see it there. It might be a complete waste of money, but I need to tick it off. It's
just a goal that you want to achieve. That's
just
that's
even if LED screen for 30 seconds, I'll be right. We've made it. That's it.
So what are you doing with Wycombe Wanderers at the moment? Then what are you doing in terms of out of the box thinking, even if it's just talking to clients about it?
Yeah, so we've put it in our signatures. We've made it. So we've got official sponsors of Maidenhead. We've got community partner of Wycombe Wanderers. We put it straight onto the website. So as soon as you go onto our website, it's at the top. So now when we push it out within local areas, it's there. We're not messing around. It's straight in people's eyes. I've taken a similar approach to what I did with Maidenhead, message all the players. Harder to reach them because they've got so much more following. They'll only read certain messages and stuff. But I interact on their pages, message them. Some of them reply back, or some of them like the messages. At least I know they've seen it.
Right. Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think with them, it's not expecting them to reply to you. It's them acknowledging you've sent them something, because they're not always going to reply. And one of the players moved from Wycombe to another club, and he messaged and said, "Well, I might need some advice because my rent's finishing up soon. What's my options?" So it's just about with that sort of club, it's just making them aware of we're here if you guys need us, and not being in their face all the time, but just making them do stuff. And we are speaking to them again because I want to do an event with just the players and speak to them about mortgages, because we've got an access point to it. They're more open to us doing something like that, probably mid-season where it's not interfering at the start. So which is good, and they do like events and whatnot as well. So that helps.
That's two things I want to unpack there for people listening. So the first thing is they're much more susceptible to susceptible, is that the word? Open to a conversation with you about a mortgage event because you sponsor the club. If you were just Smith's Mortgages messaging Dave Jones, the player, do you want to do a mortgage event? It'd be like, who are you? I don't know you from John. Do you know what I mean? So, but because you're the sponsor of the event, of the club, it's much easier for you to open those lines of communication. So I don't know how much the sponsorship costs, but say if it was £1,000, that £1,000, it's not direct business that you're going to get straight away. It's what opens to those relationships.
Yeah.
The second thing is, Gaurav and I speaking about football clubs here, but you could replace that word football club with any person in the area. So there might be a local summer fair that you gain access to, or you sponsor a local school or PTA or something. It's not just the sponsoring of that particular business or event. It's the access that you have to the people in there. Like, for example, if you sponsored a school PTA, you've got access to all the PTA members, some of the parents, some of the teachers. And this is what Gaurav is getting at here. He hasn't once spoken about the football hoarding on the side of the pitch that brings in business. He's talked about it from a point of view of the access it gets you. Yes, it gets his brand seen on the likes of ITV because he sponsors Wycombe Wanderers, but that's not the end goal. It's all about gaining access. And I love that approach to that sponsorship model that you're having there. So just think, it doesn't have to be a football club. It can be a sports club, a football club, a rugby club, a archery club, whatever it might be. But think outside the box. Schools, I think, is a great way. I think to infiltrate schools, sponsorship might be a bit tough, but think of another event that you can do. You can gain access to so many people.
Yeah, like there's loads of school fairs. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, there's loads of school fairs. Parents, they've got mortgages most likely anyway. But the way I see it is the sponsorship is just the way in, and it's just you've got to give them something to gain access to a whole range of different things you can do. And once you've got the sponsorship or you're doing something with a certain group or company or business, you're able to do anything and everything you want. They're not going to say no to you because you're part of their group now. So everything's open. Like just recently, I wanted to do something with the players in terms of getting our brand out there more so, but we weren't able to because they've got the National League guidelines to follow. So what we did was we got official kits made for all of the non-playing staff at the football club. So all the bar staff, so all the bar staff, the kitchen staff, the stewards, all those things, everyone that works for the club on match days has their own official Maidenhead United top with Home Me Mortgages on the front or on the back if it's a jacket or an apron. But what that does for us is,
that's wicked.
It's really cool. So we went to the first game of the season to do photos and launch it officially and so on, and they put it on social media. A lot of people on Facebook were like, "This is really good. Can you sort XYZ out at the club?" And I can't do that. But it was like it's a nice little touch for us giving back to people that actually matter for the match days that they've never been given anything before ever at the club. So it was our way of doing something for the first time. But what it does is every single person that goes to a football match to watch Maidenhead at home will see Home Me Mortgages in their face walking around. They're going to see us. So there's no way they can hide from it. So it's just about little things like that make a massive difference. It doesn't just have to be, oh, you've seen us, we need to get brand awareness on the website, or we need to get a massive boarding on the side of the football pitch. In my opinion, that boarding doesn't work. There's 40 different companies on there. You're just one of the 40. There's nothing different. But there's only one company that's going to be on all of the non-playing staff at the ground, which is our brand, our company.
If you think, how old is Maidenhead in terms of a football club?
It's old. It's been one of the oldest.
It's an old club, isn't it? So say if we only narrow it down to the last 50 years, for example, when they would have been having sponsorship deals. In those 50 years, out of all the companies that sponsor and all the companies that have sponsored in the past, not one of them have come up with the idea of sponsoring the non-playing staff's uniforms. I think that's where did you get that idea from?
It was because I was trying to think of different ways that we can get our brand out there a bit more, because the board doesn't work, like I said, right? But I was like, what else can we do as part of the sponsorship? There's definitely more than just the match day program or an email. There has to be something different. And I was like, right, what if we make training kits for the players? Because they'll be in them before the match, but there were guidelines, we couldn't do it. So I was like, what about all the staff are here, all in their normal clothes? Because I've been to a few games before, and they're just wearing their own clothes. There's nothing different. So I was like, what if we do something for them? And then we worked with the club, and they came up with different ideas as well, like putting a banner up or a flag or wherever else. And I was like, not really going to work. So I was like, let's just do all of the tops for all of the non-playing staff. Let's just get them. And because they had a new kit maker this season onwards, we just got them directly from them, because it's official. It's official kit. Same material, same stuff. And all the non-paying staff loved it as well. I think about 50, 60 of them. every match day, but they get their own stuff now. So they were over
And
the
those
moon.
people, you know that they're all employed, that maybe half of them probably need a mortgage, half of them speak to 10 of their family members. And so if you think of it on a very, very micro level, Jane Smith, who works in the club on match day, maybe behind the bar or something, she walks in to home at night with the kit on, with Home Me mortgages on, or she goes to a friend's party straight after work. There's 50 people that are there that like, who's that? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Home Me sponsored. Oh, right, okay, I need to sort my mortgage. Those are the interactions that we sometimes forget about, that
Yeah.
when you sponsor a football club, you automatically think, oh, I've got to do something special for people to see it. No, just doing something different like that will have much more of an impact. And what's good, I think, is that Maidenhead worked with you to find a solution.
Yeah.
Like they said, put up banners and do this and do that. If there's people listening to this where you've sponsored local events, just have a chat with the organisers. Have a chat with them and find out what they are doing and what they can help you with.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that you won't necessarily be thinking of, and just getting them, because essentially we were funding it, so they were open to it first and foremost. But they
Good
would come
point.
up with
Yeah.
different ideas anyway. But that will get that funding back easy. It just takes a couple of cases and it's done. But
Do you
there's so
mind me
much more to
asking,
it.
and you don't have to tell me, but do you mind me asking ballpark what you paid for all those kits?
It was 1,700 for the
Oh,
kids.
really?
Yeah, so it
Bloody hell,
wasn't.
that's good.
Yeah, so it wasn't too expensive. It was just because it was straight from the manufacturer. There wasn't any other cost. It was direct from the supplier. So it was great for us. But I obviously ordered quite a bit for myself as well to give to my friends and family to just wear
Yeah, of
about
course. Yeah.
wherever they are. We'll get that back within the case, maybe two, and
Yeah.
that's it. And there's not much else that you need to do for it. But like I said, because there's 4 different teams within Maidenhead United, the men's, women's, juniors, and community trust, all of them have access to Home Me mortgages now. Every single one of them. So
And just
it's
by doing those logos on the playing staff shirt, even if the players don't know who you are, they'll see those
they
again
will
and
see
go,
us.
ah, I didn't know
Yeah,
that we partnered with them, because they must be given a list of 20 sponsors that they can help with.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas Home Me's on the
It's on
non-playing
the top.
staff.
Yeah, and like when I go to matches, I make an effort to. I'll message the players, but like, good luck today. I'm going to come down. Hopefully, see you at the end of the game. And they're like, yeah, let's
Okay.
catch up afterwards. And I'll speak to them after the match and be like, I'll introduce myself in person. Then the week after or 2 weeks after, we'll just have a chat, a couple of minutes. Then it'll get longer. Then I'll be like, right, let's just watch the match, because I'll go there. They're on the bench or just not playing, not in squad for that week, and we'll just chat. And it's just about building the relationship with the players directly, because that's one of the plans I have going forward for our business. Is that's who I want our clients to be, to the sports professionals. The way in is build a relationship up with them where
Mm.
they can trust me enough to do not just their mortgage, but their family's mortgage. And then they'll refer us to other sports professionals. And then the sports players will know Home Me mortgages do sports mortgages. Let's go to them. That's a separate
Mad.
plan that I've got, which is I've
And of
obviously
course, then,
got a passion for football. So as you can tell,
are you a big football fan? Are you a massive, like, obviously Maidenhead is your club, but I didn't know you're a Liverpool fan, you said
a Liverpool
beforehand,
fan.
didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
been
you
living
could
with Liverpool since I started watching football from a very
you
young
can hear
age.
it in his accent, yeah, straight up the
Yeah,
MC.
yeah. I've just been living
No,
around here for a while now.
that's it. That's it. Okay, I was going to talk about. I'm going to touch a bit on social media, but I just think speaking about that sponsorship and the avenues into more business was really important to go deep on. But social media, you've made a big push on video content, haven't you? So
Yeah.
speak to us about how you come up with the content, how you record them, and how you edit them.
Yeah, so everything's just done on the phone. I was
Okay.
never a few months ago, I would never think about being on video. I would just do here's a post, that's it. In my own personal social media page is terrible. I don't post a lot of stuff on there at all. I
Mhm.
think last year I posted one thing, that's it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a social media, me as a person, individual, I'm not a big fan of social media. I'd
Mhm.
rather just chill with mates, go to the pub, watch football, watch movies, and do things. As opposed to sitting scrolling. But for business, I had to. Um, Videos were huge in terms of getting myself out there, so it took a little while to practice. But now I don't use a teleprompter or anything. I just speak. Um,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, so I think one of the things that I struggled with before, I spoke to Ash before previously as well, and still do, about getting video content out, is just I've got I know I've got the knowledge of it. I just
Hmm.
didn't know how to get it out properly in a way that people would like. So I don't think about what people like. I just say it how I say it.
Okay.
If people like it, they like it. If they don't, I'll get better at it as it
That's
goes on.
quite tough to do, that, isn't it? It's quite, because you automatically think, oh, I should be talking about this, or I should be doing it this way. Whereas you just said, no, screw that. I'm going to do it my own way.
Yeah, just because if I look at it the other side is I don't want to come across as speaking in a certain way where I don't speak that way. It's just
Good
this
point.
is who I am, and you either like my videos, you don't. If you need help with the mortgage company, if you don't like it, then go somewhere else. Nothing I can
Yeah.
do. It's not I've lost out on anything. It's just even if I put out 10 videos and I get one person on the back of it, that's one person I never knew I was going to speak to. But
Hmm.
then that individual is the start of the domino, and I always see that person as there's another person they know, there's another person. So it's as I say, I always see an individual or a business as the starting point of a domino.
You're
Then
playing
I
the
just,
long game, aren't you?
yeah, it takes a while, and I think a lot of people that start up businesses would need it to be instant. I
Hmm.
think that's where they sometimes kind of rush and stuff. And obviously, when I took over, there were quite a few mistakes that I made anyway. In a short space of time, I had to learn quick, like we need to survive. And now it's kind of paying dividends on the back of it. But it's my wife tells me just chill, be patient, it will come. Because she'll always see me like after work, I'll be like, oh, I need to this, need to that, need to this. She's like, just chill, laptop's off, don't worry about it. It's the business, it's gonna work. And then it's just about just taking a calmer approach and just things will happen, fall into place when they need to. Just
Hmm.
don't push it to rush because if you rush it, then it's not gonna work properly.
It's like you could have said, for example, speaking to those football players, you could have rushed it and messaged them going, I'm there at the game on Saturday. Give me a shout and we'll chat about your mortgage after. They'd just turn around and go, "Oh, I don't want to talk about my mortgage after
Yeah,
a game." But whereas
exactly.
you've said, let's have a chat, we'll just catch up. You have a chat, how's things, how's the kids, how's your game, etc., etc.
Yeah,
Next time you speak to them, they go, oh, Gaurav, I need to actually speak to you about my mortgage. I need to
yeah.
sort
There's
something.
a good thing you mentioned actually. There's one of the players, a really nice guy actually. Message her in there and stuff. But I messaged, as I said before, to the group of the players. At the end of the season, they get everyone to come on the pitch and do meet and greets and all this stuff, and they do like little awards. So
Mhm.
I was just chilling with the players. Just they were just in a row and stuff, and I was just chilling out, talking to one of them, and then he mentioned, "Oh, my missus needs to look at the mortgage, or she's going to look at the mortgage again because it's coming up for renewal." I didn't start the conversation. They just know what I do.
You're just
That's it.
making yourself available to them, and
Yeah, exactly.
that's what we think social media shouldn't be a pull. It shouldn't be speak to us, speak to us, speak to us. It
Yeah,
should be a kind of we'll put it out there and get in touch with us as and when you need
yeah,
to.
yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So that's it.
Right, mate, we have covered a lot there. Now
Yeah.
we're going to get into the strategy question, which is going to be awesome. But before we do, we like to donate £10 to a charity of your choice. Which charity would you like us to make the donation to?
Alzheimer's Society, please.
Okay, perfect. We will do that. And
Thank you.
September is actually the outside World Alzheimer's Awareness Month, isn't it?
Yep.
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 So, guys, make sure you get a social media post out there, please. If everybody listens to this, can put a post out there and raise some awareness, that'd be fantastic.
Please donate.
Yep, and donate if you can do as well. That would
Yep.
be huge. So, we're now doing the strategy question. We are going to pretend that you've moved to the north of Scotland. You've got a laptop, a mobile phone, and an internet connection. What would you do to start generating new mortgage business?
Fortunately, I've got family in Scotland, so I'll start by calling
Oh,
them
have you?
first.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I do.
Whereabouts?
I've got family in Glasgow, and I've got family. My cousin brother lives in Elgin, which is the north of Scotland.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's proper. That's
yeah,
proper snow all year
that's
round and rain in
yeah,
the winter, rain in the
yeah,
summer.
yeah, exactly. So he's there. So yeah, but it's just you've got all the stuff you need anyway.
Mhm.
We all work remote, which put me to Scotland. Probably do the same thing. Find a local club because I like football, and
Yep.
it's just do one of those things. Um, Videos on social media. Social media's got a wider reach than where you are, and you can target different audiences as well. And it's
Mhm.
just about how can you think of getting to those customers. Um, Newsletters is obviously a massive one for email campaigns, which we don't even do email campaigns yet. We've not touched that bit. It's just don't have the time to figure out just now and to design all of it and send it out and what to write. I'm terrible at knowing what to write. Um,
Okay. Yep.
but essentially, social media is a key, probably one of the biggest ones if you're working somewhere where there's not many people. North Scotland, you're probably
Mm.
going to get like 20 people around you. Um,
Yeah.
but it's there probably isn't going to be a mortgage advisor, so speak to every single business around you or people close to you. Just get out. Those are the two main things that I would basically start
So
from.
doing exactly what you've been doing, speaking to people, making
Yeah.
sure they know that you're available, and look at something like email marketing, sponsor a local football club. I think that's massive that I don't know, I keep on going on about it, but it's huge to look at local football clubs because we're getting more into grassroots footballs now, and people want to be supporting the local clubs. And just think, anybody listening to this podcast, think of 5 local businesses in your area and think of the 5 different audiences you could gain access to if you were to sponsor them. What I would do is look at the 5 and look at the one that you think you will get most access to. Football clubs is probably the biggest one out there because you get access not only to the staff, the players, but also the people that are watching, the fans. Schools, I think, is a huge one. If you can sponsor some kind of school event that can give you access to teachers, to parents, rugby clubs, that type of thing. Just action this. If you listen to this podcast, go and list 5 companies that you could go and target or sponsor with £500, £1,000, whatever it might be. I think that's a big takeaway from this. Gaurav, thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Where can people contact you or reach out to you?
Home Me Mortgages Instagram, so that's home_me_mortgages, or type in Home Me Mortgages. Our website is home-me.uk. Follow me on LinkedIn, Gaurav Shukla. You'll find me. Or follow our business page, Home Me Mortgages. Or you can send me an email, gaurav@home-me.uk. Any mortgage brokers watching this, or any other financial advisors, if you need help with sponsorships or how to do things, just feel free to reach out. More than happy to help.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you very much, Gaurav. Right. And we will have you back on in 12 months' time when you have sponsored Anfield. You're the official match day sponsor at Liverpool, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. 12 months or less.
12 months. Awesome. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me as well.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Take care.